Well, hi, everybody. Welcome to Afterburner. I'm Bill Whittle. Well, as you probably know by now, Barack Obama's smart diplomacy, here visualized by former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton with the Russian foreign minister hitting the reset button on a device that began this entire goat rodeo by mistranslating the Russian word for reset as overcharge. Well, smart diplomacy has, well, it's grown a little tattered, maybe a little shabby over the years. That is until the Russian invasion of the Crimea, in which Russian will did to smart diplomacy what a Russian tank would do in a head-on collision with a smart car. But hey, what difference does it make? Russia, of course, like all of her Potemkin villages, looks well-made from the outside, but that military machine, which indeed looks formidable enough until tested in kinetic operations against a determined Western resistance, really doesn't throw the weight it used to. No, the Russian weapon being wielded by Vladimir Putin today is energy, the vast energy reserves that Russia holds and that Europe so desperately needs. But not America. No, sir. Frack that. That weakness of ours, our insatiable appetite for oil that would have put us at the mercy of the Russians in the same way it put us at the mercy of the sheiks back during the Arab oil embargo of 1973 with its even-odd license plate days and lines stretching for a mile or more in order to just fill your tank. Well, those days, quietly and uneventfully, have pretty much gone. America sits on reserves of oil and natural gas greater than anywhere else in the world, including Russia and the Middle East, perhaps even more energy than both of those hostage takers combined. And the smart diplomacy of Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, and now John Kerry, like their smart economic policies and their smart Obamacare rollout, didn't have a thing to do with it. They've done everything in their power to make sure that it never occurred. You know, as I write this, their party has just finished a congressional all-nighter talking about the evils of fracking and shale oil and all the rest. You know, one would have thought that if the atmosphere was indeed in danger of overheating, this expulsion of huge volumes of hot air would have been the last thing that we needed. No, my friends, energy is civilization. You don't have to carry water from a well or beat your laundry against a rock near your van down by the river. You have servants that do that for you. An army of silent, uncomplaining servants in the form of billions of electrons which are sent on their uncomplaining, untiring way at virtually the speed of light along coils of copper wires. These servants are at work right now, allowing you to hear this message. They never sleep, but they do need to be fed. Now, back when we were smarter, we understood this. Back when we were smarter, in the space age years when I was a boy, we knew that energy was civilization. Back then, visionaries like the immortal Sid Mead, whose work you see here, knew that a clean, bright, shiny future was there for the taking in the form of nuclear power. He and others believed, and they were right, that the clumsy and primitive reactor designs of the 50s and 60s, which never killed a single person in worst-case scenarios of 3 Mile Island or Fukushima, and only did real damage in Russia, where they built a fire in a living room without a fireplace or a chimney. Well, those reactors would be replaced by smaller, cleaner, safer designs, and this has indeed happened. Only, we're not allowed to use them. In Sid Mead's future, our lost future, when progress meant moving forward instead of moving backward as it does today. Energy was civilization, and there was so much energy, we simply didn't know what to do with it. So we produced wealth and prosperity and happiness like we always have. But the power of that progress has been taken away, like so much else, by the power of the progressives. And we lie now upon a beach, supine and helpless and not striding the globe as before. We lie here upon underground reserves of gas made accessible by techniques such as fracking, and instead of arising and using that cheap, clean energy as the muscle to build a better world, the American Colossus lies passively and obediently back as pygmies stake us into the sand with strings and threads. It's pathetic. It's disgusting. That's not progress, that's progressivism. You know, most of the manufacturing jobs that provided good wages to relatively uneducated workers fled America in the past several decades, following the inexorable laws of economics, which, as impervious as the laws of gravity, dictate that products will be manufactured where they can be made the least expensively. Now, for decades now, those ironclad laws have moved factories from America out into China and the Third World, where their far lower labor costs provided a once unbeatable economic advantage. But today, we, the American Gulliver, have through our ingenuity and freedom tapped a resource so great that progressives must stay up all night speaking against it if they have any chance to survive. Because the price of a widget from a factory is not set by the cost of labor alone. Now, the cost of raw materials, generally speaking, being about the same all over the world, the equation comes down to two variables: the cost of labor and the cost of energy. Factor in enough cheap energy, put those golden weights on the American side of the economic scale, and the balance of manufacturing tips back in our direction. Our cheap and clean energy and expensive labor matches or even overbalances their cheap labor and expensive and dirty energy. And the future is ours again. And all we have to do is wake up, sit up, stand up, shake the sleep from our eyes, and get back to work with shovels the size of castles and move dirt the size of kingdoms.